Hello again.
Hello.
I remember from one of the earlier ones of these that we did that you mentioned that your father was a Jehovah's Witness and then he wasn't any longer for most of your childhood. Then he became one again, and I'm wondering what that made him in the interim.
Well, because he was never baptized, it never made him anything. So he was able to fall away from the faith, and my mom's parents took him in and showed him what real love was. But because he was never baptized as a Jehovah's Witness through his own side of the family, he didn't have to worry about that. It wasn't his problem. It wasn't anything. He just could do whatever he wanted because he wasn't baptized.
Does that mean he didn't take it seriously at first?
As a kid, I mean, who really takes anything seriously?
So his parents raised him Jehovah's Witness.
Yes. To my knowledge.
What were they like?
His mother, I never met her. I have conflicting stories from every side, but she was found dead on the kitchen floor because of alcohol poisoning. She had a lot of kids. I didn't hear the best things from my father about my grandfather, meaning his father. Nothing but bad things. But I never spent time with him. So I don't know. Like, when I met him in person, he seemed like a really nice guy. And then when people talked about him, like his sons, and you talked to my uncles and that kind of stuff, they talked nothing but horrible things about him. So that's the best answer I have to that one. I think he was 14 to 16 when he found his mom on the kitchen floor.
Your father found his mother?
I think so. I believe a few of the kids did. What was relayed to me, not even by him, was that they found her on the kitchen floor and she had passed out on her back and then she threw up in her mouth. So that's the story I have about my dad's mother. And I think it was a few of them that maybe got off the bus at the same time or got home at the same time. I don't even know if they had buses back then, because he used to make these funny jokes about how he had to wait at the bus stop with no clothes in the freezing winter, like every dad does. But yeah, she could have been nice. I don't know.
So he was unbaptized in the Jehovah's Witness faith.
Oh, I totally just trailed off. Yeah, he was definitely unbaptized.
Do you think that he didn't make it to there because of the death of his mother?
No, I think it was just his upbringing. And I think being a child of having seven to eight brothers, this is still an unknown fact. And then your father loses his wife that was taking care of the kids mostly, probably makes it very hard to move on in a healthy way.
So you think that affected him in a very unhealthy way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he talk about her often?
No. He did not. An undisclosed person did tell me that they thought that she was abusive to them. And then another undisclosed person told me that she was actually a really cool lady and they liked her. So I don't know if it's a poor me complex and that's why things were said. People like to see the worst in every situation and think that their situation is the worst. So I don't know. I don't know her. I got nothing.
When did his family stop being Jehovah's Witnesses?
Probably upon her death, I would think, because there was too many kids to take care of. His father was trying to provide for all of them. All of them are going crazy. They're all teenagers. It's like, that must have been pretty wild.
What was his father's profession?
I don't know his father's exact profession. I do know that, once again, this is only what I've been told. I never heard it for sure. I was told that he bought houses, made the kids help fix them up, take care of them, make them into better properties, and then he'd resell them. So he would change their school systems all the time, just for a sale of a home. I don't know if that's true, but according to the few that I do know that have told me the same story, that is what he did. Maybe, I guess his profession would be a real estate agent.
How much of this did you hear from your father?
The real estate agent part and the moving around a lot was from my father and one of my uncles.
How does the Jehovah's Witness faith treat death?
That's a heavy question. Death. So you slowly become desensitized to death, because if someone doesn't know the truth, which is what they're teaching apparently, then they're considered ignorant and they'll get brought back because they will have another chance at the end of the world during Armageddon. But if you've been taught what the truth is and you reject it, then you are not coming back. So as long as you stay in the truth, then you won't have to worry about people dying. So if you have a family member that passes away, even if they are a Jehovah's Witness, it's very dulled and it's disgusting, because that person is gone now and it's taken too lightly because they think that person's going to come back. And then they turn that whole service into a preaching ceremony. I watched it happen many times, and has nothing to do with the person that actually died.
How many Jehovah's Witness funerals do you think you've attended?
10 to 12.
How many from your own family?
I, oddly enough, went to my grandfather's wake or funeral, whichever you want to call it. And
which side of the family was that?
That was my mom's side, and he wanted actually nothing to do with being a Jehovah's Witness. He served in the military. He did a lot of things for everyone, all the time. Always a super nice person. And to watch, because he had no other family that was taking control of how the wake and funeral went and who was invited and who was running it. My dad, I guess, or I don't know if it was my dad, the Jehovah's Witnesses or the organization became an orchestra of his wake and funeral. And it became an army veteran, flag, everything, trumpets, you name it, taps, all the way. All of the other things were Jehovah's Witnesses talking. There were people in the room laughing because they acted as if it was after a meeting when everybody's congregating and they're talking. And it's like, not only is it my grandfather right there that's dead over there, but you guys you don't even see what you're doing. You don't see this. This guy, that's what they do. That is the worst one I've ever attended, I would say. But they usually turn into a preaching thing, which they talk about for 45 minutes, and they tell you you should look into God, and then they have tracts and all that kind of fun stuff. But I'll never forget the look on my mom's face and my aunt's face, who was his biological daughter. Like, this is not okay. And then the look from everyone else was just laughing and talking and haha. My grandmother's brother was still alive, and he served in the military with my grandfather. And he spoke at the wake. And he spoke so long, but the war story that he told was true. And he showed up in full uniform. And nobody took that in. They cut him off. They cut off someone that served with him, that was there for the right reason. It was very disappointing. And I don't find any of it okay now that I know that wasn't okay. I even feel guilty for being there. Because I thought, he's going to come back. He's not coming back. At least, not the way that they show it.
So you believed a little bit in that afterlife situation that they described?
Yeah, that's what I was brainwashed into believing.
How old were you?
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, started to get a brain. They have every base covered. I keep saying that. This is one of the only bases that they don't have covered, is why I'm even doing this.
What do you remember about losing faith in the truth?
Not everyone's cracked up to be what they appear to be. It's just things on top of things on top of things. It was mostly probably thinking that you could confide in an elder, or you could confide in a friend that was a Jehovah's Witness, or you could confide in someone that was in that particular kingdom hall. But you're not confiding in them. It's just a big... Yeah, I won't even...
What do they think of the physical body after death?
You get me. They tell you, oh, you're going to come back in your most perfect state. So scientifically speaking, your most perfect state would be between the ages of, I believe, 27 and 34. So everyone's going to be between those ages. But they said in your most perfect state. They always left that as one of those cloudy spots.
In reference to a funeral, what do they do with bodies?
Bury them.
So a normal plot?
So my grandfather and my grandmother, because he served in the military, they were given plots before any of that even happened because he served. So he had a normal burial. If that wasn't the case, see, I can't speak for everyone because I don't... Death is a weird thing. So, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So, if you have someone turned into dust, and that costs $1,000 as opposed to $8,000, and you take that leftover $7,000 and you donate it, What kind of standing does that make that person in? Wow, they must really, really, really believe in God.
So you're encouraged to cheapen out on your funeral.
I can't answer that. I'll just say it's a conscience matter.
How do they preach about death?
It's not permanent. Death is not permanent. I believe there's a tract or a Watchtower or an Awake magazine that says death is not permanent. And that is how they get a lot of people, because who doesn't want the ones that they loved back that have passed away? Who doesn't want that?
Is that how they sell the faith?
I don't even think they're really selling it. I think they're just... I'll go with yes. But to correctly answer that question, I don't think that they are selling it. I think that they're brainwashing people. They're being manipulative so that they have all their bases covered. There's so many things that you cannot ask one that won't have the correct answer, because they have this thing called a reasoning book. Anybody, you can just Google it, you can download it, but it's called all of the most random questions that people ask you at the door. And you can look it up in this book, and then you have all these answers. What if this person asks you, well, why can't I give blood? Why is that okay if someone... And they have pre-printed out things that you memorize for an answer. I always thought that that was really weird, because I couldn't pre-memorize my prayer before field service, but I could pre-memorize my answers to people at a door when they ask a certain question, because I memorized the reasoning book.
In the Jehovah's Witness faith, is there anything similar to confession?
Yes. That's everything. You run to the elders with everything. That's your confession. But that's their way of knowing everything. Just talk to an elder. It's like talking to a priest. Except the elder knows who you are and who your family is and everything about you.
Are elders readily available at your Kingdom Hall meetings?
Yes. They attend every single one. In fact, if one of the 4 to 6 don't show up, something's wrong. They must be sick. It's more important for them to show up than for someone that's not an elder. A lot of people can come up with an excuse very quickly why they couldn't show up at a meeting because they didn't feel like going. It's harder for an elder to do that.
Do they hold the keys to the Kingdom Hall?
They do.
So without an elder, you can't have a meeting.
Well, what's interesting about that is that you can have a field service meeting without an elder needing to be there. Usually the elder's wife would bring the key with her, or the elder would drop on by, unlock the door for the field service meeting, then swing back around and lock it after the 15 to 20 minute meeting in the morning was over.
About what time in the morning?
9. Well, no, 8:40. 8:40, you meet at the Kingdom Hall, and you walk inside, and the door's unlocked. They make it very nice because it's already unlocked, unless you're the one unlocking it. And then, they make it seamless.
What is a field service meeting in comparison to a regular Kingdom Hall gathering?
A field service meeting is a meeting before you go door to door. So during the week, it's usually your elders' wives or your pioneers, or you might get lucky. It could be someone random from the hall that decides they want to go door to door. It's a 20-minute meeting. You make car groups. You say, this person's riding with this person. They always pick the oldest baptized male, and he does the entire meeting. And boy, did I hate when there was not one older than me. But that person would pick car groups. So they would say, who here wants to use their car for field service? And then there'd be a show of hands. Okay, all right, well, you in this car, you in this car, and you in this car. Let's say a prayer. Get in the car, go do field service. Don't forget about coffee break, though.
Do women outnumber males in the Jehovah's Witness faith?
No. It can sometimes seem like that because a lot of them have been manipulated into going door to door as their stay-at-home job for a very long time. So you feel as if there's a lot more females, but it's pretty even unless throw the fact of kids in there. So the amount of couples that are married and are baptized and going door to door is quite even. Throw the kids in, then that's, it is what it is. Then you have random people that move into the area. It's really, but I don't believe, so I don't want to say it because I don't know if it's true, but I think there's a lot more males.
What did you learn to be the stereotype of Jehovah's Witnesses going door to door?
They don't salute the flag, kick them off of your lawn, tell them to get away from your property. They're waking us up at 9 a.m. Put a hose on them, get rid of them, yell at them, do whatever you can, but no one really understands that they don't know what they're doing. They've already been brainwashed into doing it, that they're just kind of spreading hate, even though those other people are kind of doing what they think is right, but the person getting the hose sprayed on them.
Were you ever described your own faith to yourself from maybe other students at school or something? Did they have a caricature that they drew of your faith to you?
Yeah, you don't salute the flag.
That's about all?
That's it. You don't salute the flag, and we don't do holidays, and we're weird.
That's all they had?
Yeah, we're weird. We don't salute the flag, and we don't do holidays. That's kind of weird.
But everything else was secret to other kids.
Yeah, all of the details. But, if you talk to the other kids about the faith, you could count that as field service. So sometimes Jehovah's Witness kids will talk to other kids about the organization and will then count that as field service hours.
So you could reroute bullying into something that made more productive qualities for yourself.
I wouldn't say for myself.
So no one really knows what, at least in the school setting, no one really knew what it was that you did. They had hardly an idea.
No, not at first. As I went on in school, it became more apparent. And the teachers just kind of, they were nice because the teachers, I'm sure, had to take workshops how to deal with this because it was such a big thing to have a student in your class that couldn't accept blood. Like that one student you got to watch out for because if he trips and needs a blood transfusion, he's not getting it, but he's also emotionally hurt, or he or she, because they don't do Christmas and that, but it's just a kid. It's a kid. So it did change throughout the years where the teachers became more woke or apparent. They were there. They were there. They just kind of realized, these kids don't really know what they're doing, so we have to make it the best for them. I can't imagine being a teacher and having to deal with that.